On January 1, 2024, when the celebration of the beginning of a new year was being celebrated all over the world, a devastating 7.6 magnitude earthquake hit Japan.
And in western Japan, scenes of devastation are emerging after a 7.6 magnitude quake shook the country, killing dozens of people.
This earthquake was not the only one. Along with this, many small and big earthquakes were also witnessed right after this. In total, more than 155 earthquakes occurred in just one day. Because of this, about 1-meter-high waves rose in the sea and hit the west coast of Japan. Japan's meteorological agency also issued a very big tsunami warning. Although this warning was later downgraded, but the earthquake itself caused substantial damage. Dozens of buildings were completely destroyed. Electricity was cut off in thousands of houses. Many places were engulfed in flames. And as of January 2nd, about 55 people have been killed. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida says that this situation is a battle against time. Rescue operations are underway and efforts are being made as soon as possible to save the trapped people. But on January 2nd, another unfortunate incident is witnessed in this country. Welcome again to Mr. videos. A plane of Japan Airlines collides with a Japanese Coast Guard aircraft at the Tokyo airport. And both planes fall into the flames.
The Japan Airlines plane has caught fire at Tokyo's Haneda Airport, and all runways at the airport have been closed.
This Japanese Coast Guard aircraft was getting ready to help the people trapped in the earthquake. Fortunately, all the people on the other plane were safely evacuated. But 5 out of 6 crew members were killed in this Coast Guard aircraft. The 29-year-old captain is the only one who is able to survive. Two big questions arise here. First, why are there so many earthquakes and tsunamis in Japan? And second, how does Japan deal with these disasters? Because if this earthquake had come to any other country, thousands of people would have died. The death toll in Japan is below 100 as of now. How does Japan save itself from these things? Let's understand in today's video. Recently, this earthquake has been named as 2024 Sea of Japan Earthquake or Noto Peninsula Earthquake. You can see its exact location on the screen. There is a Noto Peninsula region in Japan. What is a peninsula? You must have studied it in school. Any land where there is water on all 3 sides. The epicenter of this earthquake was located here. The Sea of Japan is present on the west side. This area is about 500 kilometers away from Tokyo, the capital of Japan, but still, this earthquake was felt till Tokyo. Now, our first question is, why are there so many earthquakes in Japan? The answer is also hidden in the map. Look at this map. This is the map of the world's 16 major tectonic plates. What are tectonic plates? These are the outermost layers of the Earth, which are formed from the crust and upper part of the mantle of the Earth. The heat generated in the core of the Earth creates convection currents, which causes the tectonic plates to move slowly. These are the 16 main tectonic plates which move slowly year after year. When they collide with each other, earthquakes are observed. The countries and areas that lie on the boundaries of these tectonic plates are the places where earthquakes are observed the most. The speciality of Japan is that it is situated at a place where 4 different tectonic plates are colliding with each other. The Pacific Plate, Philippine Plate, Eurasian Plate and North American Plate. This is the main reason why there are so many earthquakes in Japan. Now, the Pacific Plate has its own speciality. The Pacific Plate has the most tectonic activity. The boundary of the Pacific Plate is called the Pacific Ring of Fire. Because earthquakes are observed here the most in the world. Along with that, the most volcanoes are also observed here. To some extent, the same thing is applicable for the other plates as well. The countries that lie on their boundaries are the places where earthquakes are observed the most. For example, as Nepal is situated on the boundary, that's why there are so many horrific earthquakes in Nepal. Compare this with regions like Australia, Russia, and Europe, where you rarely see earthquakes. When was the last time you heard about a horrific earthquake in Australia? It's not that there are no earthquakes there. But the regions that are present between these tectonic plates, the frequency of earthquakes is very low there. And even when earthquakes occur, they are not as dangerous. But how do these main tectonic plates collide with each other? Based on that, different types of boundaries can be formed. Like a convergent boundary, when one plate collides and enters under the other. Or a divergent boundary, where both the plates go away from each other. Or a transform boundary, when two plates move against each other parallelly. Out of these, the most horrific earthquakes occur in the convergent and transform boundaries. And the boundary of the Pacific plate is a convergent boundary. And there is a specific type of subduction zone in that as well. In the subduction zone, the most powerful earthquakes can be seen. Because in this type of collision, when one plate collides with the other, it goes under the other and goes inside the mantle. And when this happens, a hole is formed inside the ocean on the boundaries of both the plates, which is called a trench. These trenches are usually the deepest parts of the ocean. They can be 3 to 4 kilometers deep from the nearby seabed. The deepest point of the Earth in the ocean discovered so far is the Mariana Trench, is also a trench, which goes down to 10.9 kilometers. In the Mariana Trench, the Challenger Deep is the deepest point of the ocean. You must have heard about it many times. But one thing you may not know about it is that there is a huge trench next to the Japan Trench, which is called the Japan Trench. Even here, the ocean is 8.4 kilometers deep. There are very few countries in the world which are located so close to the ocean. This map shows you the depth of the ocean in different parts of the world. The darker the color, the deeper the ocean is. Look around most of the countries. India's coastlines, Africa's coastlines, South America's coastlines, have a light color. But zoom in and look at Japan. On the right side of Japan, there is a huge dark area. This is the Japan Trench. And on top of it, passes the imaginary Ring of Fire. The Pacific Ring of Fire. Because of the movement of this tectonic plate, there are so many earthquakes here. There is such a deep ocean here. The number of volcanoes is the highest here. And because of this, if tsunamis are seen the most, they are seen in Japan. Japan's coastline is very close to this trench. This means that the tsunami waves have to travel a very short distance. And there is not much time left for warning. For this reason, Japan is the most at risk of tsunamis. In fact, the word tsunami has also come from the Japanese language. Tsunami. It is made up of su and nami. Su means harbor. Nami means wave. Harbor wave. Because so many tsunamis were seen in Japan, when the news of Japan's tsunami spread all over the world, the word tsunami became popular. And from there, people started using it. Approximately 90% of the world's earthquakes are in this Pacific Ring of Fire. And approximately 75% active volcanoes are also found here. Now, because the geography here is such, in history, Japan has always been in the danger zone. But maybe because of this, Japan has always been ahead in controlling the damage of earthquakes and tsunamis. The buildings built in Japan have to meet very strict earthquake-proof standards. They have 3 standards. The lowest one is the Taishin standard. In this, the requirement is, what should be the minimum thickness of the pillars, walls, and beams of the buildings. So that when an earthquake comes, and there is shaking due to it, the building can resist it. The second is the Taishin standard, which is recommended for tall buildings, where they are told to install dampers so that the earthquake energy can be absorbed. Meaning, the foundation of the building should have big, thick rubber mats under it. These rubber mats often absorb the vibrations of earthquakes very well. But even stricter than this, they have a third standard, which is the most advanced standard, the Meishin standard. In this, the entire structure of the building is isolated from the ground. Different layers of lead, steel, and rubber are applied so that the building moves independently in comparison to the ground. If the ground is moving, the building remains stable. This iconic tower in Tokyo City, called the Skytree, uses the same standards. This is one of the most earthquake-resistant buildings in the entire city. When the horrific Tohoku earthquake hit Japan in 2011, the magnitude of the earthquake was 9.0. This building did not even get a scratch. On the other hand, Japan has adopted many strategies to avoid tsunamis. Although it was not as successful as the earthquake, they have made tsunami control forests, planting a lot of trees to stop the power of tsunamis. They have made coastal dikes. These are made of very long stones. These dikes are very expensive to build. But the impact of tsunamis is successful in reducing it. In addition, tsunami evacuation towers have been built. In places where there is not much time for evacuation, people can go to these towers, and reach a high point and be safe from tsunamis. They have improved their warning systems. Evacuation drills are done. Local people are given regular drills about what to do in case of a tsunami, how to prepare for rescue operations. And finally, they have built walls near the sea. Japan's coastline is 22,000 miles long. 40% of it is surrounded by these concrete sea walls. But unfortunately, these walls do not always work, as happened in 2011. The earthquake caused by this tsunami was the most powerful earthquake in the history of Japan. And because of this tsunami, Fukushima nuclear disaster was also seen. Nuclear reactors were damaged, due to which radiation leaked and spread over the entire Pacific Ocean. This earthquake and tsunami of 2011 was very dangerous in the history of Japan. About 20,000 people were killed. After this, their government made their standards stricter. As a result, this year's disaster was not so dangerous and fatal. If you found this video informative, please share. See you in the next great video.